It's hard to fault teams for making a risky blockbuster trade that doesn't quite pan out.
Russell Wilson will likely at least be able to go contend for another Super Bowl in Denver.
There is just never living down a big-time trade that ends up setting your franchise back for many years. So today, here are 10 recent blockbuster trades that initially looked like pure genius, only to fail miserably over time. Broncos go all in for Russell Wilson. After losing his faith in head coach Pete Carroll and GM John Schneider, Russell Wilson requested a trade from the Seattle Seahawks. Put in a tough and seemingly no-win situation, the Seahawks honored Wilson's request and sent him to the Denver Broncos in a mammoth 2022 offseason blockbuster trade. Seattle sent Wilson and a 2022 fourth-round selection to Denver in exchange for 2 first-round picks, 2 second-rounders, a fifth-rounder, QB Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, and defensive end Shelby Harris. Before he even played a snap for them, the Broncos handed Wilson a 5-year contract extension worth $245 million. You see, the Broncos had been held back by mediocre quarterback play for half a decade, and Wilson was supposed to be the final piece needed to get this team over the top. I mean, come on. A Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and Javonte Williams-led offense just had way too much potential to fail. Or, at the very least, we all thought. But Wilson never was able to find his footing in the Mile High City. His first year was wasted by unqualified head coach Nathaniel Hackett and a very pathetic offensive line. Though Wilson did improve in year 2 under Sean Payton, the marriage was pretty awkward from day 1. Payton never really seemed sold on Wilson, and the Broncos benched their veteran QB for the final 2 games after he refused to adjust the injury guarantees in his contract. And for good measure, the Broncos released Wilson and took on a record charge of $85 million in dead money. Woof. Clippers snag Paul George to land Kawhi Leonard. After leading the Toronto Raptors to the NBA championship in 2019, Kawhi Leonard had a tough decision to make in free agency. Run it back with the Raps, join forces with LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, or go to the #1 team on his desired list all along in the Los Angeles Clippers. Leonard told the Clippers to get Paul George from the Oklahoma City Thunder, and then he would sign with them. So the Clippers honored his request and sent 5 first-round picks, 2 additional first-round pick swaps, Danilo Gallinari, and 21-year-old guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The PG-13 trade and Leonard signing was supposed to lead this long-struggling franchise to their first championship. Heck, it wasn't a stretch to believe that LA could have formed the next great dynasty, too. Unfortunately, however, injuries and the COVID-19 pandemic limited Leonard and George to a combined 492 regular season games during their 5-year run together. The Clippers only won 3 playoff series with their superstar duo, only getting to the conference finals once. That was in 2021, when the Clippers were ousted by the Phoenix Suns after losing Leonard in round 2 to a torn ACL. In 2024 free agency, George left the Clippers to sign with the Philadelphia 76ers. Gilgeous-Alexander, meanwhile, has emerged as one of the best players in the entire NBA. He is the new face of the OKC franchise, having guided them to the Western Conference's top seed in 2024. And with a 2022 first-round pick obtained in the George trade, OKC drafted another young star in Jalen Williams. So the Clippers sold out the future to win now with George and Leonard. They won 3 playoff series in 5 years. Yeah, all we can really say to Clippers Nation is that Thunder fans will continue to thank you for years to come. Eric Carlson joins the Sharks frenzy. The San Jose Sharks Stanley Cup window is quickly closing, with Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, Brent Burns, and Joe Pavelski nearing the end of their primes. So, ahead of the 2018-2019 season, GM Doug Wilson acquired 2-time Norris Trophy winner Eric Carlson from the Ottawa Senators in exchange for 4 players, including prospect Josh Norris, a 2020 first-round pick, and 2019 and 2021 second-round picks. The Carlson trade looked like a win for San Jose in year 1. He helped the Sharks reach the Western Conference Final in 2019, but they were ousted by the eventual Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues in 6 games. Carlson would sign an 8-year extension worth $92 million in the 2019 offseason. San Jose bottomed out over the next 4 years as their core players began to depart. That meant surrendering the #3 pick of 2020 to the Senators, who used it on young superstar Tim Stützle. Not only has Stützle emerged as the new face of the Sens franchise, but Norris has also become a key cog of their promising future. Carlson won his 3rd Norris in the 2022-2023 season, and the Sharks capitalized on that chance by dealing him away to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the Carlson trade bought the Sharks 1 playoff appearance. Yeah, in hindsight, this was a brutal trade for the Sharks, who are stuck in a lengthy rebuilding process after missing out on Stützle and Norris. I think everyone was ripping on the Senators at the time of this move. A's go all in win for all Starling Marte. The Oakland Athletics were in the thick of the AL wildcard race in 2021, so they decided to make a rare win-now move at the deadline. They traded promising pitching prospect Jesus Luzardo to the Miami Marlins in exchange for all-star outfielder and Gold Glover Starling Marte. The A's went on a tear after the move and stood at 67-48 with 47 games to go. But Oakland inexplicably collapsed over the final stretch, dropping 9 of their final 13 games to finish with an 86-76 record. They lost Marte to the New York Mets in free agency, and the Athletics decided to kickstart another rebuild by trading star pitcher Chris Bassett and sluggers Matt Olson and Matt Chapman. Luzardo, meanwhile, has developed as a reliable number 2 pitcher in Miami's rotation. If the Athletics kept him, they could have eventually traded Luzardo for another significant haul to help out their rebuild. Russell Westbrook joins LeBron James's and Anthony Davis's Lake Show. After a failed title defense in 2021, the Los Angeles Lakers acquired future Hall of Famer Russell Westbrook from the Washington Wizards in a massive deal that sent Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Montrezl Harrell to DC. But Westbrook flopped so badly with the purple and gold that fans began calling him Westbrick. In less than 2 seasons with the Lakers, Westbrook shot just 43.4% from the field and an atrocious 29.7% from beyond the arc. The chemistry between Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis went nowhere. LA finished a horrible 33-49 in the 2021-2022 season, leading to the firing of head coach Frank Vogel. The Lakers mercilessly traded Westbrook to the Utah Jazz ahead of the 2023 deadline. He was then bought out by the Jazz before signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. And lo and behold, the Lakers returned to form after the Westbrook trade, and they advanced all the way to the conference finals as a 7th seed, where they would ultimately fall to the eventual champion Denver Nuggets. The Seahawks land Jamal Adams from the Jets. All-Pro safety Jamal Adams became unhappy with the New York Jets and requested a trade in the 2020 offseason. Finally, they agreed to deal the 2-time Pro Bowler and a 2022 4th-round selection to the Seattle Seahawks in exchange for 2 firsts, a 3rd-rounder, and safety Bradley McDougald. Adams is one of the NFL's premier defensive players at the age of 25. The Seahawks also had a lousy defense, so it made sense to acquire the do-it-all safety in a win-now move to accommodate Russell Wilson. Adams had a pretty good first year in the Emerald City, earning Pro Bowl and second-team All-Pro nods. His 9.5 sacks set a new single-season record for a defensive back, as Seattle won 12 games to claim the AFC West Division crown. That, unfortunately, was the peak of Jamal Adams in Seattle. Injuries ended up limiting him to 22 total games over the next 3 years. He didn't have a single sack over those 3 years either, and the Seahawks cut him during the 2024 offseason in the cap-saving move. Oh, and, the Jets turned that draft capital in the trade into superstar wide receiver Sauce Gardner and stalwart guard Elijah Vera Tucker. A rare win for the Jets, brought to you by the Seahawks. Maple Leafs swapped Nazem Kadri for Tyson Barrie. Though Kadri was a reliable two-way center for the Toronto Maple Leafs, the organization gave up on him when he received multi-game suspensions in the opening round of their 2018 and 2019 postseason losses to the rival Boston Bruins. Toronto needed to bolster their blue line anyway, so they made a blockbuster trade with the Colorado Avalanche in the 2019 offseason. Kadri, Calle Rosen, and a 3rd-round pick were sent to the Avs in exchange for standout defenseman Tyson Barrie, forward Alexander Kerfoot, and a 6th-round pick. Barrie had put up 50-plus points 3 times with the Avalanche. He had just 39 in his 1 season with Toronto, before signing with the Edmonton Oilers in free agency. The Leafs didn't even qualify for the 16-team postseason in 2019-2020, even though the Barrie trade was supposed to help them emerge as title contenders. Kadri took his game to another level in Colorado, tallying a career-high 87 points in 2021-2022. He helped the franchise to a Stanley Cup championship in 2022, thus cementing the Avs as the major winners in this trade. Cleveland Browns sell the farm for DeShaun Watson. After missing out on the postseason in 2021, the Browns were convinced that they were just one elite quarterback away from emerging as a powerhouse in the AFC. In the 2022 offseason, the Browns acquired Pro Bowl QB DeShaun Watson from the Houston Texans in exchange for 3 first-round picks, a 2023 3rd and 2022 and 2024 4th-round selections. The Browns then handed Watson a 5-year contract worth a fully guaranteed $230 million. The trade was controversial, given his very disturbing off-the-field allegations. From a purely football standpoint, this move felt like one that would finally get Cleveland over the top, though. However, an 11-game suspension and a season-ending shoulder injury in 2023 have limited Watson to 12 games over his first 2 seasons. He has 14 touchdowns versus 9 interceptions with a very lackluster quarterback rating of 81 81.7. Worse yet for Watson, the Browns' offense functioned a lot better with backup Jacoby Brissett in 2022 and Joe Flacco in 2023. So somehow, Watson actually made Cleveland worse when he is on the field. Just another classic example of this trade looking like a great idea at the time. Nets go for it with James Harden trade. The Brooklyn Nets championship window was supposedly wide open with the super tandem of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Looking to maximize their opportunities, the Nets acquired a third superstar in James Harden from the Houston Rockets. The trade also involved the Indiana Pacers and Cleveland Cavaliers. Brooklyn then sent two quality roster players in Jarrett Allen and Taurean Prince to Cleveland. The Nets' title hopes ended with a heartbreaking Game 7 loss to the Milwaukee Bucks in the 2021 conference semis. Ahead of the 2022 trade deadline, they sent Harden to the Philadelphia 76ers in a blockbuster deal that brought Ben Simmons over to Brooklyn. That trade also wound up being a lose-lose for both teams. The Nets eventually waved the white flag and traded Durant and Irving to the Phoenix Suns and Dallas Mavericks ahead of the 2023 trade deadline respectively. And that Harden trade destroyed the Nets' chances of rebuilding efficiently in the post-KD and Irving era. Raiders swing and miss on Antonio Brown. After quitting on the Pittsburgh Steelers near the end of the 2018 season, Antonio Brown demanded and received a trade to the Oakland Raiders. Honestly, the move felt like a coup for the Raiders since they only had to give up 3rd and 5th round picks for the perennial Pro Bowler. But, well, the move quickly became problematic for Oakland. Brown nearly came to blows with GM Mike Mayock during a practice after being fined for missing team activities without explanation. He suffered frostbite in a cryotherapy session after not wearing proper footwear, too. After continuously clashing with the Raiders brass and players, the All-Pro wideout was mercilessly released. He then signed with the New England Patriots, but wound up being cut after just one game after some very disturbing allegations against AB had surfaced. And by the way, that 3rd round pick the Raiders traded to Pittsburgh in 2019 became future Pro Bowl wideout Deontay Johnson. And yet, we were somehow all grilling the Steelers for this trade at one point. But hey, which other recent blockbuster trades initially looked genius but wound up failing miserably? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton, and hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.